Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing one of the major questions within the squad. You know, we've been talking about squad depth, we've been talking about the ins and outs of the transfer window, what's going to be happening with the overall team heading into the 2019-20 season. Now, I made my kind of catch-up video the other day there where I spoke about how comfortable I was with the squad at the current minute. If we get it right back in, which we probably will, it's just taking a little bit of time. I've talked about how comfortable I am with the side and such, and how I believe it's a side that can go on and win 9 in a row, by 9 or 10 points again. It looks like that to me at the current moment in time. But one thing that a lot of people have been speaking about on Twitter and such, and one thing that we haven't been speaking about as much over the last year, up until now, is the depth of our strikers in the Celtic side. Now, over the past 6-7 months, there's only been one man to turn to when it comes to striking. You know, we did have Oliver Burke in there for a little while on loan, but we've seen that he wasn't the greatest over a bit of time, and he wasn't naturally a striker either. So there was always that question as to who was the backup to one man and one man only, and that was Odsonne Edouard. Odsonne Edouard has been the main striker at Celtic from the day that Moussa Dembele left Celtic. A day which, yes, I will always be sad about. Love you, Moussa. Shirt on the wall. It's honestly a great player we've got there in Odsonne Edouard, but we should have had a second man, a second backup sort of option, and even a player who you could argue is just as good as Odsonne Edouard along with the whole team last season. That was Leigh Griffiths, but obviously circumstances arose. He had to take time off from football, well deserved time, because you know he had a lot of things going on in his life and he needed that bit of rest, a lot of problems and such. But now he's back, he's went through everything he's had to go through, and he looks as though he's back, ready to go, more willing than ever, you could say. He's probably worked on a lot of things over the past 6 or 7 months. A lot of people have their opinions on Griffiths, but one thing you've got to admire is the fact that he is still ready and eager to play at a level that would make him capable of playing for Celtic. That's one thing you've got to admire about him, because a lot of players, after going through the situation that he did, would maybe, you know, say, I need to leave Celtic, need to take time off football altogether, I can't play for a team. They would maybe move down a step. They would maybe even chuck the whole game. But Griffiths has came back and he's insisting that he is feeling stronger, better, and more confident to play football this season. So Leigh Griffiths coming back into the squad, but it begs the question, and from the title you could see Odsonne Edouard or Leigh Griffiths. Now I feel like it is a very one-sided argument. You're looking at Odsonne Edouard, who has won over the hearts of Celtic fans over the last couple of years, scoring massive goals. He won us the treble arguably with his performance against Hearts in the cup final. He scores massive goals against the likes of Rangers all the time in the big games. He always comes out when we need him. But then again, you've got the Celtic Dad's favourite, but also just an incredible player and easy to love, Leigh Griffiths, because you can see the passion in Leigh Griffiths every time he steps in the park, no matter if it's a big or wee game. Sometimes you're lacking that from Edouard, and in this video I'm going to go over the pros and cons of both strikers and give my opinion. Now I think it's easy to tell my opinion of who's better, and honestly I think there is a clear winner in who's the better striker. Not to give away my answer straight away, but both of them come with bags of talent, and both of them come with a lot of pros, as well as their cons. But they're two players who are lucky to have at Celtic, players capable of scoring goals, and it's going to be good competition up top this season, because I don't ever think we're going to play with the two striker sort of tactic. I don't think we're going to play a 4-4-2 or like 5-3-2 or anything that has two men up front. I don't see it happening. It's always going to be the one striker, but now that we've got that balance between two, we've got Griffiths and Edouard, you know, we're never going to be in trouble as long as both of them can stay fit. Obviously Edouard has had a lot of problems with injuries over the past couple of years, and Griffiths has obviously been out for a long time, and he picks up the odd injury problem as well. But if we've got two strikers who can stay fit at all times, we're never going to have a problem with scoring goals, and that is the positive about having these two players in our team. So where do we start? I guess we start with the returning Leigh Griffiths, because Leigh Griffiths is a player who is very easily loved. You know, he's a wind-up merchant. He's very easily hated by other fans. Let's add that in quickly, which is also a positive. I love seeing the likes of Rangers fans and Hearts fans and such get wound up by Leigh Griffiths, because honestly I believe it helps Leigh Griffiths. I believe it spurs him on to do better on the field. You see that when he plays against Rangers. Yes, he'll go to be a wind up, maybe sometimes it's too much, but it pushes him to score goals. He scored a cracker at Ibrox a couple of years ago when we fucked him 5-1. He's a great player. Leigh Griffiths, yes, maybe that is his major con. Maybe he gets too caught up in the situation and the occasion when it comes to these big games, and sometimes it kind of takes over his performances, and it can cost him. Maybe gets a bit too arrogant, a bit too overconfident. Maybe that's his major flaw, but honestly I do believe it helps his game. The positives of Leigh Griffiths are clear, they're obvious. We're looking at a man who scored 40 goals in one league season. That is unbelievable. No matter if Rangers were in the league or not, I don't care about the argument that Rangers fans might want to present in the comments saying Rangers weren't in the league. It doesn't matter, because how much of a challenge Rangers actually posed to us since coming back anyway. So 40 goals in one season is still fucking impressive. That is crazy. It's not easy to score 40 goals no matter who you're playing against, because at the end of the day you're playing against professional footballers in a very physical league. And at the time as well, Ronnie Deila was in charge, so arguably we weren't even as good a team as what we have been since Rangers have came back up to the league. There we go. There's a mate. He's a born goal scorer. He's a top finisher. He works hard. I think when it comes to cons, maybe his fitness isn't at the level that maybe Odsonne Edouard is. You look at Edouard and you looked at Dembele when he was at Celtic, and they were elite level athletes. You know, they had the stamina, the body, the physicality. Maybe something Griffiths doesn't have, because you look at Griffiths and this is a player who was caught sitting on the fucking bench eating a tea cake. Which isn't a reflection on how maybe you want a professional footballer to act at the highest of levels. You know, ultimately we're a team trying to play in Europe's top competition, and that's the Champions League. We're not a Brecon City or anything. You know, we are the creme de la creme of Scottish football. We are in the top league. We are representing a lot, and maybe his fitness levels don't really represent the likes of other players in the squad, but he has worked on that and he has improved. That was one thing Brendan Rodgers made him do when he became manager. He sat down and he said Griffiths has to improve, and he was honest, he was open about it in the media. He says Griffiths needs to catch up to the levels of Moussa Dembele when they were talking about fitness, and that's how Dembele became the first choice striker. At the end of the day though, you're looking at Griffiths returning, he's hungry, and his pre-season form so far has been fantastic. He's scored in every game he's played, apart from the 0-0 draw because there was no goals in that game. But even that day, he scored against the under-21s. I think he got a hat-trick. In fact, he's been scoring goals in pre-season. Now it's time to test him out in the competitive games, in the qualifiers, in the opening games of the season. See if he can replicate those pre-season performances in those games. The negatives, I guess, are, yes, the fitness. Yes, maybe the odd injury, but Edouard also carries that. And yes, that he's just had a massive break from football due to reasons which a lot of managers would maybe get rid of a player. So there is negatives that come with Leigh Griffiths, but the positives of the work ethic and the passion that he shows maybe does overshadow that. Ultimately, we've got a great player, whether he is number one or number two. You've then got Odsonne Edouard. Odsonne Edouard, the positives are endless. That's when Celtic lost Moussa Dembele, I thought to myself, yes, Edouard is a good player, we're going to sign him permanently, but will he be able to fill the boots of the great King Moussa? That was my question. Yes, I suck Moussa's arse right off. I always will. He'll be my favourite fucking player till I die, probably. But Edouard has came in and he's done a good job at filling those boots. I think at times it's been difficult because he has been fading in and out with injury. But you've seen him in those big games, and when the occasion matters, he does like to turn up and he likes to get the goals. He's a player with physicality, he's a player with strength, a player with pace. He's got really everything that you need to be a top player for Celtic. And his value of £9 million, a lot of people were laughing at the start of the season that weren't the Celtic fans. People were saying, why did they pay £9 million, not worth it in a million years? But as the season went on, he really did show why he was worth the £9 million. And I think that's great. I guess you're looking at a player who could also replicate what Moussa Dembele done at Celtic and get a big move to a French side. And there's where the major negative comes in with Edouard. He plays that well, and he will play that well, that eventually he's going to just be a short-term thing. And he's a player who, given the chance over the next year, will leave Celtic if given a big opportunity, and we have to deal with that reality. And maybe that's why a lot of people might favour Griffiths being the first choice striker, because he's here to be at Celtic, to play for Celtic. Ultimately, I don't see Griffiths moving any higher than this level, but he's here to play for the badge. And Edouard, yes, he is at the current moment, but if the chance comes to him, there's no denying he will leave. He will go. If he has a chance to move back to his home country, he'll look at Moussa Dembele and how successful he's been at Lyon this season, one of the best players in the French league, and Edouard will say, I can do that, and he'll move over there. And that's respectable enough. He owes nothing to Celtic. He's not as if he's like Brendan Rodgers, who came in and claimed he was fucking, I loved this, he was here for this and that next thing. No, he's here to stepstone his way to another team. And that's, I guess, the major negative with Edouard. The other negatives being, yes, he does have the odd fitness knack, and yes, maybe sometimes he is inconsistent, but he's a top player in the big performances. He is the best striker at Celtic, hands down in my eyes. And if it comes to this season, if I was to pick my first choice striker, it's always going to be Edouard. But it's a great dilemma to have. It's a great choice between Griffiths and Edouard. I believe both of them are going to be as hungry as each other. They want to outperform each other, and that's nothing but a positive for Celtic, as long as it doesn't get hostile, which I doubt it would. But it's a great competition to have between those two, because they're two great strikers to have. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. Who should be the first choice striker for Celtic this season? Should it be Leigh Griffiths? Should it be Odsonne Edouard? I feel like it's more one-sided towards Edouard, but the comment section will show me for sure. Make sure to follow Twitter, Instagram and such. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. I'll see you all next time.